India's GDP growth rate jumps to 8.2% for FY24 and 7.8% in the last quarter of FY24 for Q4. A significant jump there. Of course, to decode this further, I have with me Mitali Nikor, senior economist, Sanchita Mukherjee, business economist, and a senior finance professional. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your insights always with us. So, the big takeaways, really, Sanchita, what are the big takeaways from this data, firstly? What's standing out? What is challenging? And what does India really need to work on to boost this growth rate further?
So I think this is a very, very positive news, and most economists polled have always been very upbeat about financial year 23-24 GDP numbers. Most economists have polled it to be very close to 8%, perhaps exceeding this has actually come beyond 8%, 8.2%. The last quarter GDP growth is 7.8%. That is because there's a lot of increase in commodity prices around the globe, which has impacted input costs for a lot of industries. Also, it is minus taxes, minus subsidies in the last quarter. Typically, that is calculated.
Yeah.
However, what is very interesting to note, a big takeaway for all of us in the equity markets as well as watching the economy, is that there were a spate of investment activity projects which were declared in 2024. So the investment climate in India is at an all-time high, right? Projects being completed on the private sector as well as the public sector is actually happening. There are projects being completed. So execution is on track with projects being announced, and that is a very big thing, right? January, March, of course, February, March, of course, there was a bit of a slowdown because you have the moral code of conduct going into election, all that. But yes, definitely, I think for the world to note is that the investment climate in India remains very, very strong. The policy reforms remain on track. The focus on manufacturing, infrastructure, real estate, construction, all of that, along with agriculture, along with services exports, defense exports, these are all testing all time highs. So, this is a very, very good thing. The only drawback I would think, which has always been the drawback for us economically, would be the oil prices. Oil prices definitely is a joker in the pack, given that we have heightened geopolitical tensions across the globe as we speak. But if I were to monitor data, India's dependency on oil also has been reducing gradually. But definitely, power consumption, these are things we need to look out for. These are things where more investment is required, more FDI monies are required for power reforms and power generation projects in India.
Right. Mitali, do you agree? What to your mind is standing out from this data, and what are the areas that we could work on to boost this growth rate further?
So, of course, I agree with most of Sanjita's analysis. I think for me, what really stood out was this 9.9% increase in manufacturing. I mean, for many, many, many decades, I would say, where as students of economics, when we were all in college, we would always study this that, okay, India kind of circumvented this entire story of structural transformation and went from agriculture to services. And we don't know if we'll ever become a manufacturing economy. And seeing this data, seeing a growth of 10% in manufacturing sector alone, which we have not seen in decades, I think that is something which really stands out to me. It's a massive achievement, not only for the government, but for all of the private sector stakeholders also, who've come together to make this happen. And I really feel like we should spend a bit of time on why this happened. I think the first ingredient in this has been, of course, the production linked incentive schemes. The fact that they were launched not only for one sector, but for many sunrise sectors at the same time. And the second reason has been the PM Gati Shakti program. The fact that logistics, which is the backbone of this country, transporting goods from one place to another was so expensive and so inconvenient. And today has become much easier, not only on road but also railways and waterways. This cross-border trade with our neighboring countries, facilitating trade, outside to Europe and the US, and manufacturing here for exports. All of these things coming together has today brought us to this point where we can say, manufacturing is on a trajectory. And this is important for job creation, because manufacturing at the end of the day is one sector which can create a lot of jobs, millions of jobs for the next few decades. So I really
Right.
think that that's one thing that stands out to me.
Right. So job creation very, very crucial there, like you said, and manufacturing will create that going forward. Sanchita, as far as the markets are concerned, really, we've been seeing stock markets hit a record high. We of course know that, there have been projections about the stock market sort of inching higher, hitting fresh records high, even after poll results. But for now, GDP data and stock markets, how do you think markets will react to the GDP data?
Markets will react positively to the GDP data. I'll just add on to what Mitali was saying. I think it was very, very relevant what she was talking about. And all of us as a generation really identify with the fact that India's manufacturing has now taken off in a very meaningful way, which we had not seen for many, many years, decades actually. A very important point that I would like to add on, she has spoken about the infrastructure and the policy reforms in PLI, a Make in India kind of a scheme, an alternative to China as the world's factory for production. One very important reform that all of us miss out in the last 10 years, which has happened, is that the banks in today's date has one of the
Yes.
lowest NPAs, right?
Yes.
I mean, think about it. Every time we've touched a very high GDP growth rate, it has always been fueled by bad debt and bad
Correct.
balance sheet of the banks, right? It has taken literally a decade for us to clean our balance sheets. Now our banks are one of the strongest points, and credit offtake is happening in a very meaningful way. If you look
Yeah.
at manufacturing companies, in fact, across the board, micro cap, small cap, mid cap, MSMEs, right? They are borrowing, right? Credit offtake is happening, but they have deleveraged, and this fresh credit offtake that is happening is a very, very productive indicator of growth, right? That's the
Correct.
way lending should happen, not through bad debts. So this is a very, very strong indicator, and that actually goes on to reflect that jobs are also being created, right? Because jobs are being created in the MSMEs, right? And one way or the other, job data is always very, very lagged in our economy.
Yes.
If one were to actually look at the job data which is coming in the MSME, it is definitely for everyone to see. Look at the home loan rates, the home loan consumption that is happening, the number of real estate in the affordable as well as the luxury as well as the middle class, and amount of real estate deals they're doing. It's all
Right.
indicative of growth and job creation.
Right. So across sectors, really, like you're saying, these indicators are emerging and very strongly so. That's very, very upbeat for India's economy. But coming back to the markets question, really, Mitali and Sanchita, Mitali, to you first on stock markets reacting to the GDP data.
No, I think the stock markets, like we've been discussing, and Sanchita has also always pointed this out, and we've been discussing that the stock market's character has changed. You have certain, like, few decades ago, we had a stock market that was dominated by large companies generating funds from other large companies for themselves. And today you have a lot of variation, lot of diversity in the stock market. You have a lot of first time investors getting into stocks, getting okay, fine, I'll put in just 1 lakh and play with it. You have those kind of investors also. And you have a lot of women entering the stock market for the first time, in many decades. So I do think that this GDP data, which points to many fundamentals going right, when it comes to the fiscal deficit, as Sanchana was pointing out, the data has come out and it has shown that it's better than expectations. When we look at the WPI data, see, that's also important. Normally, we only look at headline inflation. But today we've seen the wholesale price inflation data has also come out, and that's also better than expected. Food inflation is coming down. So all of these will bring a lot of cheer to the stock markets. One data point I want to point out, which I hope will bring cheer to the stock markets, is the composition of our GDP. So when we look at our GDP, typically it's always with that India is a consumption economy. India में तो consumption की वजह से growth होता है. Whereas what we see in today's data is that the consumption component of the economy has come a little bit lower. It's around 56% of the GDP. And the gross fixed capital formation has increased to up to 35%. And see, that itself is quite interesting because that's not happened in the last decade. So,
Right.
investment becoming a big component of the economy and driving that growth is something which will bring a lot of cheer to the markets.
All right, Sanchita, do you agree? Will all of these factors really have markets in an upbeat mode?
Yes, definitely. But however, word of caution, markets are all, I mean, has been upbeat for a while now. So Indian markets,
Yeah.
if you want purely to look at valuations, they're not inexpensive vis-a-vis other emerging markets as well as the developed markets. So we are not inexpensive from any angle. And right now, what I would say is that all the positives have been factored in and none of the negatives have been factored in. And markets do not like uncertainty. Election overhang definitely is a reality. If the current government is able to form the government, then the markets will expect that these policy reforms, focus on manufacturing infrastructure, all of that will continue. If the current government is unable to form the government, or if there's a hung parliament, if there's a coalition, markets will definitely have a knee jerk reaction. However, having said that, most investors do understand that they invest in the equity markets from a very long term perspective. The long term growth story, which is the India development story, remains highly intact. And whichever government forms, in whichever format in India, tomorrow's date, albeit a knee jerk reaction, however, in the medium to long term, these kind of policy reforms is very difficult to roll it back. Things like UPI, GST, all of this, these will augment us to the next decade in a very meaningful way. And I think policy reforms, everybody understands that that's the strength, the fundamental of the economy will continue. But yes, markets do react to black swan events. We have previously seen COVID as a black swan event. We have seen the global financial crisis. The last time there was an Atal Bihari Vajpayee government upset, which led to a lot of market volatility. So those things are there short term in the anvil. I think all investors should look at their own risk appetite, should look at their own objectives, whether these are short term monies. Short term monies, you'd much rather not go into the equity markets at this point in time. If you're looking at a holistic long term picture, yes, most of us are bullish on the Indian economy on a long term perspective. Short term volatility definitely will be there because election is an event that is very much on the anvil.
All right. And we will continue to, of course, track the stock markets and how the Indian economy is performing with both of you. Thank you so much for your time and for these insights and for sharing all really the factors that all indicators really at this moment are upbeat for India's economy. And that really is, like you said, a sense of satisfaction for the roadmap ahead.